Hello viewers, this is PetesMan3098 with another MotoGP 2014 video, part 3, in Jerez this time, and I am okay at this track, so I hope for some points. Qualifying now, and into the last corner, try and get a good exit. Don't touch the apex because I want to leave it wide so I can get a nice exit onto the straight. I've put my gears down a little bit for better acceleration, but I leave it normal as the race, because I might want the speed for slipstream during the race, because I know I'll need that. Into the first corner now, do not do too well into it, do not clip the apex, and there's Vinales there, who doesn't do much to affect my lap. So this is the third corner, little kink, and into the fourth corner, right-hander, coming up to my least favourite corner. Like every other corner, it's a long corner and I will run wide if I accelerate quickly, but I deliberately take a wide line. Vinales goes through. I do not bother too much, but I would like to get the power down as soon as possible for the straight, and that's the reason why I did it. And you can see previously I was 1/10 up, but now I am 1 second up, but I'm still in the yellow, so I'm slightly faster than my previous qualifying time. As you can see in the top left, I'm currently 19th. Coming into a complex, which is a hit and miss for me. I'm either good at it if I'm in rhythm, if not, then I am not very good at it, and I am not in rhythm as I would like to be compared to in the race, and this double right-hander kind of shows it a little bit. I do the first one okay, but do not get the apex. The second one I do good, but unfortunately I am down and I am grey, so that means I am slightly slower than my previous time. Going into my favourite corner now, I am not in rhythm, so I do not do it as much as I like, as quick as I like, but it's just the double brakes and get the drive out, and the last corner hairpin I am quite good at. I do not clip the apex as I want a nice clean run onto the straight. And coming up to the line now, I do not improve my position, but I do a 150.2, which I do a better lap in the race. I do around a 149.2 or a late 148, I can't remember off the top of my head. You see Miller, Rins, Marquez and Fanati are the top 4, and I go down, think I'm 19th, but I'm not. I drop one place down into 20th. Not a good qualifying for me. So starting the race now, all the lights are out and it is a reasonable start, but I am about to be overtaken, and I am overtaken by Bastianini. I try and get around the inside of him, and I do, and I get up into 18th and now 17th. Haneke, I do not realise, slows down and I hit him, and you can see a couple of people crash, but they are too far back for me to be concerned, and I overtake Guevara into 13th round the third corner. Come to, I think, Oliveira and John McPhee, but they are a bit far in front for me to challenge into this corner, because I tend to drop down to second, so I do not run wide on like I usually do, and I lose out on the straight by a bit, but I do have my gear ratios back to normal, so I can compete on the straight against other riders. And you can see Guevara tried to overtake me there, but I kept my line and held him under braking into the double left-hander, and well, not double left-hander, into two left-handers, and I take far too much curb into this and run a tad wide, so I lift off a bit, and Guevara tries to overtake me, but he taps me a little. I leave the door slightly open, but he does not overtake me, and I take far too much curb over that, lucky not to go fully over and get a warning. Now into this short right-hander, and my favourite corner of the track, as I've said before, double braked, and as you can see the arrow has gone from behind me, and into the hairpin I catch up to John McPhee under braking. You can see I use a slipstream, and on into lap 2, coming up to the first corner, I overtake him under braking. He may come back at me, but he does not, and into the second corner I hold my position in 12th place. So coming up into this left-hander and my least favourite corner, where McPhee may overtake me either during the corner or the straight after. I drop into second gear as I usually do, so I have enough comfort, so I will not run wide. But John McPhee hits me a little bit. I pull slightly right and he stays on the line left, and I out brake him, and I keep my line touch the apex and run out onto the curb on the outside. Dabber brakes into this corner, and this corner's a hit and miss, and I run a tad wide but do not get a penalty or one, and I kind of swerve back onto the grass but still do not get a warning or a penalty, which is good. This corner left-hander I did reasonably well. The double right-hander now, I have Oliveira I believe in front of me, and John McPhee still behind me. I think he is only 2 tenths behind, and I am 1.1 second behind Oliveira. Into the right-hander now, and I am doing okay, and into my favourite corner, double brakes and accelerate, get a good run out and no more arrow, and John McPhee is not behind me, and under brake into the hairpin I get close to Oliveira. So going on to lap 5 now, and you can see I am 3 tenths behind Oliveira and Antonelli, and Guevara has now overtaken John McPhee, but he is 3 seconds back, and I do not have to worry. I overtake both Antonelli and Oliveira into corner 2. Antonelli puts up a little fight because I leave the door slightly open and he gets me on the inside. I can't do much around this corner as we are both evens, and this right-hander, he will pull out a gap, and possibly Oliveira will overtake me, but I did overtake Antonelli and drop down to second gear for a very slight and hope that I can kind of lean on Antonelli a little bit and use his slipstream, but Oliveira is still right behind me. Getting Antonelli slipstream towards the end of the straight, and I outbrake him into the hairpin and drop into first gear as I ran a little bit wide. Into this corner, little dabber brakes, and I take too much curb, slightly off the curb but not enough to get a warning or a penalty, and this corner is not too badly done and they stay behind me. So the double right hand now, nice, a slight apex touch and into this right hander, which I prefer, and take a bit too much curb into that than I would have hoped or liked to take, and they are 1 tenth behind me, but you can see the arrow is starting to fade a little bit. Into the right hander, double brakes and accelerate, but I run wide, do not get a penalty, which is good, and I catch up to Danny Kent and Fanati's teammate, who I will not pronounce, but you'll find out why soon. Lap 6, and I'm behind Danny Kent and Bajanina, which is Fanati's teammate, and that's why I won't pronounce. And to keep up with those two, I accelerate far too early and run wide, and I get a 9/10 penalty onto the gravel. And Antonelli passes me, and Oliveira tries to pass me, but he hits me as he stays on the same line. Me and Antonelli fight for a little bit, and I re-overtake him a bit later on, out of the run of my favourite corner, of course. Dab brakes, accelerate as soon as I dab the brake, and overtake him before the braking zone and get a nice brake slightly later than Antonelli. I think I did anyway, because I get a nice one. But coming on to lap 10 now, and I'm 3 tenths behind Danny Kent and Fanati's teammate Bajanina, and that is why I do not pronounce his name. But I'm 1.2 seconds in front of Oliveira now, and I go down the inside of Fanati's teammate and get Danny Kent, as I did on Antonelli and Miguel Oliveira. I run a little wide there, but do not get a penalty, which is good, because a bit more penalty could have cost me a few more positions than it did by the end of the race. And I lean on Fanati's teammate a little bit and run a bit wide, but I do not run on the gravel, just avoiding it, and I do not get a penalty, which is good, because another penalty would ruin my chances of a good points finish. I dive down the inside on the hairpin. I think I stay in gear 2, I cannot remember, I wasn't paying attention, I was more paying attention to me passing Fanati's teammate, and now Danny Kent into the left-hander. Into this left-hander now, and I stay in front, but you see the arrow boldens a little bit, meaning they're right behind me, but it fades a tiny bit more, and into the right-hander. I run a bit wide because I am pushing, trying to stay ahead of Fenati's teammate and Danny Kent at the same time. Into the fairly quick right-hander and then the short dapper brakes right-hander, which makes me pull out a little bit gap, but I pull wide a little bit. I go wide, but it does not cost me any time. Into the last corner now, and I do alright and skip to lap 12. Coming up to lap 12 now, I will have a look at my lap time because it's probably better than my qualifying time, and it is a 1:49.9, which is 3 tenths quicker than my qualifying time. I'm battling with Fenati's teammate. I have Danny Kent. We have gapped him slightly. You see my tyres are on half my back tyres anyway because I push. I am an aggressive rider. I do not conserve. If I conserve, I go far too slow, and that is why I use a hard tyre for MotoGP, because I will have no rear tyre by the end of the race, and I'm 4 seconds behind Vasquez on the last lap, so there is little chance for me catching up to him. But Fenati's teammate overtakes me into the right-hander, and I look back to see how far Danny Kent is, because I need to be 9 tenths in front of him to hold on to this 9th position, but as you can see, he's only 2 tenths behind. I overtake Fenati's teammate, drop down to first gear, but he overtakes me back. We have a good little battle to the line, and I take far too much curb than I would have liked, but I do not get penalised for it. And this corner, I try and push as far as I can, realise I'm going wide, I lift off and brake slightly, and that allows Danny Kent to catch up ever so slightly, and run wide again because I am pushing, trying to gap Danny Kent and possibly pass Fenati's teammate if I can, to just give me a little bit of pride on the track. And coming to the last my favourite corner for the last time, I mess up a little bit, lucky not to fall off after going over the sausage curb, but I do not. I overtake Fenati's teammate into the last corner, drop down to first. I block him a little bit from overtaking me, look back to see if Danny Kent is far enough, and we will find out as I cross the line, and to my surprise he is far enough back. I finished 9th. Thank you very much for watching. Have a lovely day. See you next time for part 4 in Le Mans. Goodbye.